Well, good morning, everybody. I got to be honest with you. I did not sleep a wink last night. After the main front came through where I live, right here in Illinois, around, I don't know, about 10 o'clock or 9:30, the winds really began to pick up. And I'm just very thankful. It's going to Thanksgiving. I'm very thankful my son is into mowing. He cleaned up 6 of the yards that are around ours earlier this week. He's been off school. Picked up all the leaves. They got them all in our trailer. And it's good because now they're not in my yard. And but man, these winds were ferocious around this low. And this, I got to be honest with you, this isn't even the main show. The main show is right there. That is the big storm system that we're going to be watching post-Thanksgiving. That's going to be just a major, major problem across a big section of the country. So the winds, very, very strong winds last night, and we can continue to see early this morning the wide area of wind advisories. Now, as you have a look at this, we start to notice some other important things, like you start to see the winter weather advisory showing up in Washington. This is primarily for Thanksgiving, getting into Idaho and Montana. We do have blizzard warnings out right now for parts of northern Wisconsin, getting into the UP, Michigan. And this area is going to get absolutely beat on for severe weather. Severe weather in the form of snow, not in the form of lightning, thunder, tornadoes, wind, and hail. It's the other aspect of this, the winter aspect of it, severe winter weather. And this is going to continue in Ontario as well, and I'll show you that. We're watching a major lake effect snow event begin to take shape. While most of the country is going to be quiet on Thanksgiving Day, it is what follows this system that I think we're going to have to be thinking a lot about here. All right. So just bigger picture, this is how much the temperatures changed just in the last 24 hours. So this is the position of that front just driving itself all the way down to the Gulf Coast. This is just round one of the colder air that we've been discussing, but temperature changes here 10, 15, 20 degrees, and we're expecting them to be even more. And that's just compared to 24 hours ago. The winds have been pretty rough. This is just a look at the winds, that we've already experienced. And as we go forward, I want you to watch this. So take a look at the Pacific Northwest right here. There's the system that comes in on Thursday into Friday. It comes over the mountains, and we're going to start to notice this coming off the high plains, off of the Front Range. We're going to see some strong winds getting into the Central Plains. They're going to go right through the Midwest toward the Northeast. And that's going to bring just another round of really tough weather this weekend in terms of winds, in terms of precipitation type, the whole thing. Now, speaking of precipitation type, I was watching yesterday's satellite data before the sunset. Very large thunderstorms. We had severe weather reports in Alabama and Georgia last night, straight line wind damage there. But as the storm system, first one, this guy right here, starts to clear and head its way toward the Great Lakes where it is this morning, you can actually see the snow swath on the backside of this. And it's right there in the satellite data. And what we're going to be paying close attention to is how that snow the snow swath continues to grow, not just with the next system, but the few that are following it, and how much cold air that snow is going to help generate in the lowest levels of the atmosphere to continue to drive farther to the south, right? A couple other things to take note of here. We can see, look at the valley fog here that was in the Central Valley of California yesterday. And certainly the moisture that has been throughout this part of California in the last 40 days has been a major contributor to the enhanced low-level humidity values, which are going to make these deep valley fogs, very thick valley fogs, quite readily available going forward. So how much snow we had lately? Now, you got to understand, the maps that I look at here are updated. This one was updated at midnight. And so, no, it's not capturing what has fallen since here. And it's only a 6-hour map. Right, so this would be 6 p.m. yesterday to midnight, and we can see on the backside there's some very heavy snow. A few places already picking up 6 inches. Now this map will update about 9 o'clock this morning, and you'll have a better look back at the last 72 hours, because this map only shows you through 72 hours ending last night at 6 p.m. Central Time. But again, models did a great job picking up on this swath and through here early. Remember that the models at the very beginning of the forecast put it way up farther north, and they kept trending it to the south. And I bring that up because of where I'm going to show you the newest snowfall forecasts are going to be in just a few seconds here. But I want to do one other thing. This morning, you can see the winds wrapping around the deeper low that's centered right here. It is found exactly in this spot early this morning in the UP of Michigan. Can you see it here? Look, you got winds coming like that, like that, like that, and like that. So the low is in here. And all around it, the wind field is gusting, 20, 30, 40 miles an hour. But I was mostly interested where the snow was. So we're looking for these asterisks here. And we can kind of find a pretty large area that's getting some snow this morning going through this region. We're going to expect that to continue throughout the day today. But again, this is just round one of our highly impactful weather events. And round two, as I mentioned a moment ago, is right there. Now I just want you to watch it. Ready? Now what you're seeing when you look at this animation is the GFS 850 millibar winds. So that's the winds about a mile above our head, and it is from a model. So this isn't like observed, it's modeled, okay? But I want to take note. There's 1, 2, 3 lows coming through the North Pacific Ocean, and we are expecting to see a sizable change in this next week. Okay, so all the cadence of lows here and the deep low pressure that is there, this is all going to change. And what's going to happen is ridging is going to build in here, and that's going to reinforce a deep trough to develop over the Hudson Bay. And that's going to be our story. But watch, here goes the low. As I play it forward, there it is. You can just keep an eye on it right here with me, okay? Hits the Pacific Northwest wind. This is tomorrow on Thanksgiving. Comes right over the top of the mountains. Now watch, we kind of lose it over the mountains. You're going, why do you lose it? Because I'm only showing you 850 millibar flow. So we can't see it over the mountains because the mountains are too high. But then it starts to show up right here as we get into the 28th, working our way toward the 29th. That low goes right through the Midwest. See it? Has a good draw on moisture from the Gulf. See this? This is nice. And it's got some really cold air on the back side of it. In fact, if you just start tracing, look at this. Watch with me. The air that is here, okay, follow it back. Comes through the Canadian archipelago, comes up into the Arctic, and its origin story is somewhere in Siberia. Now, I know this is kind of a weird orientation, but the flow that you're about to experience began north of Greenland, came through Scandinavia, went through this part of Russia, turned, came over the Arctic, through the Canadian archipelago, and it's going to be invading a big chunk of the eastern half of the country. So the U that I'm referring to when I say you're ready for this is Rocky Mountains east. It's not the west. All right? So that's it. That's your setup in this particular pattern. And let's just get right into it. I was very, happy, I guess is the right word, to see the models align this morning. So this is the just 5-day, we're only looking at 5 days here, 5-day total snowfall forecast from the European model. Now remember, you can get all of these maps anytime you want on agweather.com. In fact, I think I'm going to make a special snow page on agweather.com so you can just see them all at once. Anyway, you've got huge snowfall totals. And remember Matt's video yesterday, we were kind of pinpointing parts of Missouri, a section of Illinois, coming out of Iowa, most of Wisconsin, the southern and southeastern parts of Michigan, and then this lake effect enhanced part of western Michigan, and also coming off of Huron, Ontario, and Erie. Our biggest snow quarter, which I mentioned a moment ago, is here. We are looking at snowfall totals the next 5 days that are easily going to eclipse a foot, possibly approaching 2 feet in this area. And you got to be honest with you, I'm super pumped about this. I have close friends that live in northern Wisconsin. One of them owns, I guess you'd call it a rustic resort. I've been vacationing there with my family for we've been there 46 times, but I'm 45 years old. My first trip was when I was 3 months old. And the family that owns this resort is very dear to me, and they've had 2 back-to-back winters where the snowfall has been inadequate. And that has been a huge hit on the industries in northern Wisconsin and Michigan. I mean, I'm just picking on one spot here, but Minnesota as well. And so it's great. I'm glad to see this. All right, I told you model agreement. Ready? That's the GFS. Oh, no, I'm sorry. That's the AI model. So European operational deterministic model, AI operational model. See that? Look at this agreement. That's very good. Now, you know the AI model washes stuff out. So yeah, you're not going to see these bullseyes down here, but pretty good agreement otherwise. This is the GFS. Watch it again. Euro, AI, GFS. That is some nice agreement in the models. Now, totals are going to range a lot. I'm looking for where they're putting down snow. I'm pretty pumped. I get to see tomorrow I think she's 96, my 96-year-old grandmother. She acts like she's 70. She's an amazing woman. She lives over here in West Central Illinois. She's not going to be happy with this. And I get it. She's been on this earth 96 years. She's tired of winter, I think. But she's going to ask me, Eric, how much snow are we going to get? And I'm going to show her this is what I'm going to show Grandma tomorrow. I'm going to go to my own website in front of her, and I'll just tell you where she lives. It's no big deal. She lives in a little town called Chapin, Illinois. And we'll click on this, and I'll say, Grandma, I built this. And she's going to, as every grandma does, she's going to be like, oh my gosh, she thinks I walk on water. And boy, I love her for it. But I'll show her the 15-day snow. And she's going to be like, she'll probably say, oh, dear Gussie. That's her like phrase. I don't know who Gus is, but dear Gussie. Anyway, look at this. 7.86, 3.89. That's the two different models. The blend is 4.89. And she's going to look at this close and just be wondering how long, it's going to take her to shovel her driveway, because she'll do it. She'll want to do it. She's a tough lady. I love her to death. Anyway, use this tool like she's going to do tomorrow. Okay. Now, where was I? I had one other model I wanted to show you. That's the blend of models. So watch it again. Euro, AI, GFS, blend. I did notice while the blend has got this swath in the lake effect, well, it does not have the farther to the south extent. And I'll be honest with you, when the National Weather Service makes the blend of models, the entire kitchen sink is thrown into this. And there are some models that do not bring that southern extent. But boy, I can't argue with this agreement at this point. And there's antecedent cold air. Just came through last night. It's getting cold in this area. Okay, that's what I'm thinking. That's what we're seeing in the forecast. Now, precipitation-wise, I want every drop of this. I was just talking yesterday to a group down here in the Southwest, and the extent of how dry things are down here is becoming extremely problematic. So to see in today's model run over the next 7 days, better precipitation than I was at least forecasting yesterday, this is fantastic. You come down here to Florida, though, there's too much. Matt mentioned it again yesterday. There's too much of a ridging feature down there. And that ridging feature could be huge for this whole area from eastern Texas through the Ohio Valley into the northeast. But right now, it's making things quite dry here. Now, we do have some issues with this pattern. If you take a look, you're west of that line, things are drier. Much of the Canadian prairie is drier. This whole region of the Southwest is drier. Not a problem for California and Arizona, given how much moisture they've had as of late. It's just the curiosity behind, is this a kind of an early season symptom or signal to what we could be watching for at least the front half of winter? I have a much different thought process for the second half of winter because of how quickly I think this La Niña is going to collapse. But to kind of put a point to it, where have we been for the last 2 weeks? We've gone dry in the Willamette Valley, through the parts of the Cascades, Columbia Basin, sections of it here. Snake River Valley's been drier. We've seen pockets of, look at this, Wyoming coming out into parts of Nebraska. We're just to the south of it in Kansas. It's been quite wet. The Midwest, upper Midwest, we need every bit of snow and rain, everything we're getting out of this because of how dry it's been. But here's that corridor through the southeast, which actually extends through most of the I-95 corridor and into the interior, that's been dry for the last couple of weeks. So the current system, if we can come back to that for a second, looks like this. And you can see some of these stronger storms moving through the southeast yesterday. On the backside, the lows curling up. And this is going to make a pretty amazing snow event right into Wisconsin today. And this is just the first of two systems that's going to be rolling right through here. Now, the moisture you see coming into the northwest is not the big show, the next system. This is just a pre-bit of onshore flow hitting, again, one of these drier areas that needs to get some more of this moisture. But as we play at 40s in the high-res NAM, this is what I've got, okay? This is now getting through this afternoon and this evening. Look at all this snow on the backside here. Man, that's going to be, I think it's going to be fun, but I understand that my definition of fun and weather is not the same as everyone else's. Lake effect coming off this, we're going to have some nice wind parallel bands going across, Superior and Michigan. They will likely be shore parallel in Ontario and Erie as we work our way through Thanksgiving morning. This is 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Now we have a system, that's our next big one to talk about, coming into the northwest, and the exiting system making the lake effect. So honestly, on Thursday, we will have very strong winds around the Great Lakes. That's going to make any snow that just fell hazardous to travel through. But much of the country is kind of, we're not getting any new big weather systems on Thursday at this snapshot, but the next system is here. And what we're seeing in the models is, look at this. I play it, snow for Montana. Need every inch of this. This has been a very dry region. We've talked a lot about that. Through midday on Friday, right there is the beginning of this. Now you can already tell just by the shape that there is cold air ahead of this system. And that's what's going to be critical because this large area of high pressure that sinks in has got a lot of cold air in it on Friday morning. I'll show it to you in just a few seconds. So finally, the model comparison. And as much as we spent time talking about how neither model resembled the other, look at this. Ready? System number one out. Thanksgiving system into the northwest. Lake effect on Friday. Here it comes. Look at that. That is so much better than where we were. That's the progression. Watch it again. This is Saturday, early Saturday morning through Saturday evening, getting into Sunday. So I'm just going to make a comment here. If you're traveling home on Saturday evening, That's your snapshot. There will be storms to the south and heavier rain. The transition line between the rain and snow, is it I-70? Is it I-72? Is it closer to 74? Where is it? We don't know. We will now cast that. It's going to be a fine line. But you can clearly see the models are aggressive on snow in this area, which means be prepared if you're traveling home on Saturday night. That's the main narrative here. That system then moves through the Great Lakes, spreading snow into the northeast. And that's 120 hours out. That's 5 days. Now, after this, I'm just going to play this forward. This is Monday, Tuesday. Both models are in agreement of another system here. It's being fed around a larger area of upper level high pressure there. There is high pressure coming down here, and the jet stream is being shoved in between, and the systems are going to roll in this area. So we've got Tuesday. Watch, here comes another one. See how this keeps like coming back? You've got the flow with the cold here, systems that want to do this, and that's what I think is setting up December to be relatively active. Now, let's talk about some probabilities, and we'll go to snow first. This is the chance of getting 3 inches of snow through Thanksgiving evening. But 3 inches isn't going to get the job done. That's 6, that's 12, and that's 18. Boy, look at that. Go back to 3. Next system comes into the Cascades. This is now Friday, right? Or Thursday night. So it moves through. Take a look at the snow coming into parts of Montana, and there's that area out ahead of it that's going to grab some early snow on Friday. Okay. Now we're looking at, again, the 3-inch probability. This is now going through the day on Saturday into Sunday morning. And again, highest probabilities, according to the European model, break off right there. And so, that's where you're at above 90% chance of getting 3 inches. Now, let's just take it out to 120 hours like we did before and say who's got 6 inches. You can see that according to the European model, Iowa, Northern Illinois, Wisconsin, and then, of course, coming out of Minnesota, Wisconsin, UP, Michigan, then all the Great Lakes. Look at this. Foot. And might as well go up to that 18 again. Yeah, it's no different. Now, we do expect, because of the cold air that's coming in, look, we're going to keep adding to this. But the details are a mess, so we can't use it beyond that. All right, here's the story. There it is. That's what we were watching. Hudson Trough. It's now showing up very well in the models. Blocking pattern over the Pacific. Now, this has major ramifications for western United States precip. And what we need to pay attention to, you know what I'm going to say, will that high go this direction? As long as this is blocked, Arctic air is going to have no trouble coming through, and it's just going to scream systems around the base, right over this ridge, and straight to Europe. It is important to note we are colder in some major population centers. This kind of clips a big chunk of northern, Beijing is right underneath that line. Hits the Crimean Peninsula, parts of Japan. What I'm curious about is what this might do to drive energy demand going forward. Just another piece to kind of think about here. But back to the precip story. In all of our models, okay, we start to see this dryness here coming into the West Coast, mainly because of its proximity to the Pacific high position. What I am not sold on is this, okay, because the models are saying, week 2 we're going to get clipped because of the deep low here, so systems kind of roll through this. But as Matt and I talked about, if there's some sort of subtropical ridge here, which I think there is, you're going to have better fuel, I think, to get storm systems to come through here. As it stands, I want all of this because of the risk of drought down there. But I don't like the fact we're going to start to miss more of the West Coast with these early December snows. And the reason behind that is here. Matt showed this a couple weeks ago. I just want to bring it back to your attention. We're going to look at this a whole lot this winter. But this is Western U.S. basin average snow water content. And because of the cutoff lows, remember talking about all those, they've been coming down here. This is where we've had our major surpluses. But we've got a lot of, compared to historical averages, a lot of deficits right now in snow that need to be made up. Now, we think, based on long-range forecasts, we will, but I'll come back to those details in a minute after I talk about temperatures. All right, frost risk over the next 7 days. Now we've seen this move all the way into the panhandle of Florida, northern Florida, with the colder air. I'm going to show you the high temperatures today, getting into tomorrow. So this is a cold Thanksgiving. If you're kind of east of this area, I'm kind of highlighting here. So that is Thursday, Friday morning, very cold air, getting all the way down to the southeast. And then watch, here's Saturday, Sunday. Look at the cold air behind that system that's rolling through. High temperatures in the low teens. We could probably see a few of these not even getting out of the single digits. And that's Monday, December 1st, and here's December the 2nd. Minimum temperatures, just so you can see this is this morning. That's tomorrow morning. Very cold air, single digits up here on Thanksgiving. Then we have Friday, Saturday. Now watch the really cold air come in. -5, Glasgow. Now we keep playing it forward. Very cold air coming through the Midwest on Monday, December 1st, and going out there to December 2nd. But the West is staying mild because of the proximity to the ridge that's out in the open ocean. And now you can see it, right? One of the key things to making this all happen was that ridge punching a bunch of warm air into Alaska. It deepens the Hudson Bay low and just lets this cold air become a thing. But we did notice, and Matt mentioned this yesterday, even out there day 10 through 15, Alaska's colder, which tells me that ridge may not be going here in the models. It may be wafting around. I don't know. That ridge placement in the Pacific is going to be absolutely critical to figuring this out. Now, I showed you the AI model. So the AI model puts it right there, and that's why this just goes brutally cold during that time frame. But we've been making a case for this kind of cold sticking around in December, right? We've looked at this many times. Newest run. Here's today, going forward all the way to the 27th of December. And you know what I'm going to identify. There it is. That is the persistent trough, okay, right in through there, that is expected to live. Just line it up geographically here. So what do we have then? See the reds? That means there's a ridge there. And that seems to be where the model's taking everything. Now, to show it to you, it looks something like this. This is just a 7-day sliding window. So that's the ridge I pointed out. You can almost see the omega look to it. And that's the deep Hudson Trough that extends into the North Atlantic. And here, this is this little subtropical feature over Florida that I'm trying to keep an eye on. Florida, the Caribbean, Bahamas, that region. That's through December 8th. Let's just keep going. It's just living there. That's all the way through mid-December. There's your ridge, broader trough, something with higher heights down in the southeast. And the models don't want to give it up. That's all the way through Christmas. So what this would mean is flow like this, meaning that we would probably keep this whole region of North America cold. We would be more mild in the southwest, possibly mild in the Gulf Coast southeast. And I don't like how this flow couldn't be missing parts of the Pacific Northwest. Now, I think I could attribute a lot of this behavior to the MJO. And I just want to show you something. Matt talked about this again yesterday. This is this convectively coupled Kelvin wave moving fast. Then some subsidence comes in. Then there's another one. So what I'm trying to tell you is the pattern we are in right now, the one that we're enduring this moment, will likely take a little bit of a break and then come back. Let's call it the 7th through the 15th. See that? And we might get in a little bit of a cadence like that. Now, you know what I'm going to tell you. This is the subsidence that we are watching, trying to move in this direction so we can get rising motion here and rising motion there and keep the cold anchored in that phase 8-1 idea. So that hasn't changed. But what I do want to know about this is the new December outlook looks something like this. In the movement of that convectively coupled Kelvin wave, I'll be honest with you, I'm primarily watching our western mountains. So the coastal ranges here, the Cascades, the Sierra Nevada, and then the Central Rockies. Because as it stands, the model for the month of December is like, put that ridge down here, open up flow, and have systems roll over the top. And possibly, if we do have an omega block, have systems come underneath. That's the newest forecast from the long-range Euro. The GFS, same time period. Let's go look at it. There it is. It's even more aggressively dry in the west. Now, we were expecting the western precipitation to come in waves. It wasn't going to just come on and stay on. But that's the latest we have for the month of December, and we'll continue to let that story evolve. So what are these last few slides? I've been thinking hard about this competition between the fading Indian Ocean dipole and La Niña. So my eyes have been glued to a lot of these sea surface temperature maps, and I have been looking for analogs and trying to figure this out. But I do know this. I don't think that this La Niña's got just long legs to keep running. Look at this. The Southern Oscillation Index has been way above 7 now since October. And I wonder if that was the peak of it. And I wonder if we're going to start to see this thing coming down. You're going, all right, what the heck is a Southern Oscillation Index? It's a pressure measurement between Tahiti and Darwin, okay, well, here and here. But what's happening right now is that we've got these westerly winds here? And then you have the big, broad area of trades. These are the trade winds coming across the Pacific. These, as you've seen me draw 1,000 times, have been competing. This is about to give up. And what I mean here is this. The Indian Ocean dipole bottomed out and rose back up quickly. Last time that happened was in 2022, late 2022 into early 2023. You're going, oh, shoot, is that my analog? No, it's not. The ocean temperatures were different. There was a lot of other things going on. I'm not using 2022 into 2023 as the analog. I am thinking that by 2023, forgive me, by 2026, by spring, we'll have an El Nino, and we did have one of those in 2023 as well. But it's not an analog right now. It's just understanding the competition between these two large wind systems. Westerly wind burst here, easterly wind burst there. Now, the Climate Prediction Center, just as a review, thinks that the La Niña part of that, which is here, it doesn't look like much, does it? That's huge. This is a huge part of the global climate system. I think it's going to win. So as review, this is the temperature pattern that they have put forth. They're going to update this at the very end of the month. So we'll have, next time we put the video out, or at least next week, we're going to have the new ones of these, but I would make a modification. I think that this cold air has more of an extension through the Great Lakes into the Northeast. And in terms of precipitation, the biggest question marks for me are going to be on the West Coast. Because if by February the La Niña gives out and we develop subtropical flow, I will also question the drought risks that we see across the South. But I don't know if that's going to happen yet. I have no idea. I'm speculating at best. But they've got this for December through February and this for February through March. All right, we've looked at these before, but just wanted to show you the latest. If their forecast verifies, though, which they're good, they're very good at their job. If it verifies, then I don't like this at all. I mean, drought relief in a few key places here. Arkansas River, Red River, Mississippi, Missouri, Ohio, even Northeast. But they've got this region and this region staying in or developing drought this winter. And this goes all the way through the end of February. And that is a major red flag and a concern as we just watch how things evolve this winter, because winter can break drought in the South. But will it is going to be the question. All right. Now, since I mentioned South, let's go really far south and go down to South America. I was looking at the NDVI data. I went straight to Mato Grosso because I'm getting asked a lot of questions, because you remember on Monday I said the model's been doing a terrible job. So let's look at some actual data. Right now, the NDVI value in Mato Grosso, biggest producing state in Brazil, okay, right here, for corn and soybeans, it's above where it was a year ago. But last year, the NDVI came out of the basement and in early December went to the new highest. Are we going to do that again this year? I don't know. Let's go a little bit farther south and east. So let's grab Bahia, and I also want to grab, that's Goiás, and I want to grab Mato Grosso do Sul, tracking about the same place they did a year ago. But remember, this crop took on a beautiful look in December. Okay, so we need to know if that's going to be the case. Just bear with me here for a second while I click off these. Let's now grab Sao Paulo. I'm going to grab more of southern Brazil here. Let's also get Paraná, Santa Catarina, if I can, there we go, and finally Rio Grande do Sul. Now these southern growing areas, we're a little bit above where we were a year ago. Okay, I got to take a moment to click off of these. You can actually just fast forward if you don't want to watch me do this, because I apologize, the website's a bit slow. And now we got to go to Argentina. So Buenos Aires, there we go, Cordoba. I'm going to grab Santa Fe, and then Entre Rios. There we are. Now look, even down here, NDVI is better than a year ago. See it? I'm asking all of that because what have we seen in every long-range model? Oh, they just want to drop in major late spring, early summer drought here. Soak this region. That's where they've all been. Look, and this is the new European outlook. Again, this is December. And I'm sitting here going, you saw me earlier this week, like, is this going to happen actually? Or are you being the model, just hung up on La Niña and the MJO transitions? So that's it. That's all I have to say about it. And I think it's going to be important to watch. Okay, that's all. You all have a great rest of your day. If you're traveling, be safe. We'll talk to you again very soon. Enjoy Thanksgiving. It is my second favorite holiday. I don't know why. I love it. It's like Christmas without the chaos of the gifts, if that makes any sense. My favorite holiday, by the way, 4th of July. Anyway, I'll talk to you all very soon. Have a good one. Thanks.